The breaking point. They say words can't break you, but that's a lie. Because sometimes a single word can stick to your soul, like rust you can't wash off. For me, that word was trash. It happened on a Tuesday morning. The kind of day that looks ordinary on the outside. Sunlight spilling through office windows, people pretending to like their jobs, coffee cups clinking, but ends up changing everything. I worked at Hollingsworth and Company, one of those sleek marketing firms where success is measured in arrogance and overpriced watches. I was one of only 2 black employees in the entire building, and every time I walked through those glass doors, I felt like I was walking into a silent battlefield. The kind fought with smiles and side eyes instead of fists. That morning, we had a big presentation. I'd stayed up all night working on a proposal that could land us $1 million client, Morrow Tech Industries. My slides were clean, my pitch tight. I wanted this not just for the company, but for myself. I needed to prove I was more than the quiet guy people looked past. When the meeting started, everyone was there, the CEO, department heads, and of course, Ethan Blake, the company's golden boy. The kind of man who walked like he owned oxygen. Slick hair, sharp jawline, and a smile that made everyone forget he was rotten underneath. He was my manager, my mentor, at least on paper. In reality, he was my reminder that no matter how hard I worked, someone would always find a way to remind me I didn't belong. When it was my turn, I stood up, laptop trembling slightly in my hands. Good morning. I began. What I'm about to show you isn't just a campaign. It's a new vision for how we connect with the next generation. The lights dimmed. I clicked to the first slide. As I spoke, I could feel confidence building, the kind that had been buried under years of doubt. Heads nodded. Even the CEO leaned forward, intrigued. But halfway through, Ethan interrupted. "Hold on," he said, his tone sharp. "What's this?" He pointed to a slide, one that I'd modified last night. This wasn't in the original draft. I made an adjustment. I explained. I ran some data analysis overnight and realized our original concept wouldn't appeal to Gen Z consumers. So He laughed, loud. Not the kind of laugh that fills a room, the kind that tears it apart. "Oh, that's rich," he said, shaking his head. "You thought you could improve the proposal? You? Do you even know what you're doing, Malik?" I froze. "Excuse me?" He turned to the room, smirking. "No. Seriously, look at this. He's going rogue now. Thinks he's the genius who can outsmart everyone. You know what this reminds me of?" His eyes glinted. "It reminds me of trash trying to look like gold." Laughter broke out around the table. A few people hid their smiles behind their hands. Some looked down, pretending not to hear. But the damage was done. Trash. The word echoed inside me, louder than the laughter, louder than my heartbeat. I wanted to disappear. I wanted to scream. But instead, I just stood there, hands shaking, as my hard work was torn apart in front of everyone. The CEO eventually stopped the laughter. "All right, enough," he said, "but not to defend me, only to move the meeting along." Ethan went back to presenting his version of the campaign, the same ideas I'd come up with weeks ago. And when it ended, everyone applauded him. Not me, him. After the meeting, I sat at my desk, staring at the screen. My chest hurt, not just from embarrassment, but from something deeper, a familiar ache. The kind that whispers, "You'll never be enough." I heard footsteps. Ethan. He leaned over my cubicle, smiling. "Hey, don't take it personally. You're good at small stuff. Leave the big leagues to people who can handle pressure. All right?" Then he walked away, whistling. I sat there until the office emptied out. The janitor came by, nodded kindly. "Long day." I forced a smile. "Yeah, something like that." When the lights went out, I stayed. My reflection stared back at me in the dark monitor. Tired, humiliated, invisible, I whispered to myself, "Maybe they're right. Maybe I am trash." But then something inside me snapped. A small, quiet fire that had been waiting for this exact moment to come alive. I stood up. "No," I said aloud. "Not anymore." That night, I didn't go home. I went to a 24-hour diner, ordered coffee, and opened my laptop. If they didn't want my ideas, I'd build something they couldn't ignore. I started sketching not slides, but a vision. A digital campaign platform that connected small businesses with freelance designers, copywriters, and marketers. A network where talent wasn't judged by background, accent, or skin, only by creativity. I called it The Bridge. By sunrise, I had a name, a concept, and a sense of purpose I hadn't felt in years. The next morning, I walked into the office like nothing happened. Ethan was bragging in the hallway about the campaign, and people congratulated him for his genius. I smiled as I passed. He looked at me, smirked, and said, "Still hanging around, huh?" I met his gaze. "For now." He laughed, not realizing that "for now" was the beginning of his end. Over the next few weeks, I worked in silence. During office hours, I played their game, polite, quiet, invisible. After hours, I built the bridge. I reached out to freelance communities, graphic design students, and small businesses looking for affordable marketing. Word spread fast. Within a month, over 100 creators had joined. I didn't have investors, sponsors, or fancy office space, just a laptop, passion, and the memory of being called trash. And somehow that was enough. But things changed the day one of our campaigns went viral. A small eco-friendly clothing brand used the Bridges network, and within 2 days, their ad hit 1 million views. Sales exploded. The client tagged our platform publicly, thanking us for giving small voices a chance. Suddenly, my inbox was full. Investors, influencers, even journalists wanted to know who was behind the bridge. And guess who noticed? Ethan. He showed up at my desk the next morning, holding a printout of the viral campaign. "Did you have anything to do with this?" he asked, voice tight. I looked up slowly. "Maybe." His smile faltered. "Don't play games, Malik. You're still under contract here. Anything you create belongs to the company." I stood up, heart pounding but steady. "Not this time." He leaned closer, whispering, "You really think you can compete with me?" "With us." I met his eyes. "I don't need to compete. I just need to create." For the first time, he didn't have a comeback. He just stared, like he was realizing that the person he called trash was building something unstoppable. That night, I walked home under a city sky that finally felt open, like it was daring me to go further. I thought about that word again, trash. Funny how it used to hurt. Now it fueled me. I looked at my reflection in a store window, the faint glow of streetlights flickering across my face. I didn't see failure anymore. I saw a man reborn, not from success, but from humiliation turned into purpose. But what I didn't know yet was that Ethan wasn't finished with me. He had plans, ones that would test everything I'd built and everything I believed. And soon, I would discover that when people can't destroy you, they'll try to own your story instead. The more the bridge grew, the more Ethan's smile faded. He didn't say it out loud, but I could see it in his eyes every time someone mentioned the project. The fear, the jealousy, the realization that the man he once humiliated was becoming a name people actually respected. And in a place like Hollingsworth and Company, respect was currency, and Ethan had just realized I was starting to earn more of it than him. The shift was subtle at first. Suddenly, I wasn't invited to client meetings. My access to internal systems was restricted for maintenance. The CEO stopped replying to my emails, and every time I walked by the conference room, Ethan was there, laughing with my colleagues, eyes flicking toward me like I was some kind of threat. I didn't want to believe he was behind it, but deep down, I knew he was. One afternoon, while grabbing coffee in the break room, I overheard 2 interns whispering. "Did you hear? Ethan's launching some new startup project." "Yeah, something about connecting freelancers with brands. Sounds like what that Malik guy's been doing." Guess who's mentoring him? The CEO himself. I felt the cup shake in my hand. He wouldn't. But when I got back to my desk, I saw it, a company-wide email announcement introducing The Hive, Hollingsworth's new digital creative network, led by Ethan Blake, built to connect talent and opportunity worldwide. I stared at the screen, jaw locked. The logo, the language, even the mission statement, all of it sounded eerily familiar. My idea, my design, my dream. He'd stolen the bridge. I stormed into his office. He didn't even look surprised to see me. "Close the door," he said calmly. I slammed it shut. "You stole my concept." He leaned back in his chair, smirking. "Your concept? Malik, you built that on company time, using company equipment. It's ours. And since you didn't file any patents or ownership papers," he shrugged, "you've got nothing." I took a step forward. "You knew exactly what you were doing." "Of course I did," he said coldly. "You thought you could embarrass me with your little side project? No one outshines me here. Not you, not anyone." His words hit harder than I expected, not because I believed them, but because I realized this wasn't about business anymore. It was about ego. I clenched my fists. "You called me trash once. Now you're stealing from me. You really can't stand seeing someone like me rise, can you?" For the first time, his smirk faded. "Careful, Malik. You're walking a thin line." "Maybe," I said, "but at least I'm walking forward." I turned and walked out, not just of his office, but of that entire building. I didn't even take my things, because I knew in that moment I was done playing by their rules. That night, I went home to my tiny apartment and collapsed onto the couch. Anger and exhaustion battled inside me. I wanted to scream, but instead, I opened my laptop. The bridge was still running, still alive, still mine in spirit, even if not on paper. But now I had to protect it. I spent the next week transferring everything to a new server, renaming files, encrypting code. I even rebranded quietly, changing the logo and core design, so that if the Hive tried to copy it again, it would be obvious. Elijah, my friend and silent partner, noticed a change immediately. "What's going on?" he asked over video chat. "You look like you haven't slept in days." "I haven't," I said. "Ethan stole everything. The Hive is just a bridge with a new name." He cursed under his breath. "Man, no. We're not letting that slide. We'll go public. Tell everyone." I shook my head. "Not yet. I need proof. If I go public now, they'll bury me in legal jargon. I need to make sure that when I hit back, they can't get up again." He sighed. "You're playing with fire." I smiled faintly. "Then I'll be the one holding the match." 2 weeks later, the Hive launched. The media went wild. Ethan was everywhere. Interviews, podcasts, press releases, talking about empowering freelancers, democratizing creativity, breaking barriers. Every word he spoke made my stomach twist. He wasn't just stealing my idea. He was stealing my voice. But then something happened that changed everything. A former client of the bridge, the eco-friendly clothing brand that had gone viral, posted on social media. "Funny how this new platform looks exactly like the one that helped us 6 months ago. Shout out to Malik Carter, the real innovator." Within hours, the post had thousands of likes. People started digging, comparing websites, sharing screenshots. And soon, hashtags began to trend. Hashtag the bridge was first. Hashtag credit the creator. Hashtag trash to triumph. I watched it all unfold in disbelief. The same internet that had once ignored me was now fighting for me. The next day, chaos erupted at Hollingsworth. Reporters showed up at the office. The CEO released a statement calling it a misunderstanding. Ethan went silent online. But I wasn't celebrating, not yet, because I knew men like Ethan didn't fall quietly. Sure enough, that night, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. A message. "You think this is over? You made a powerful enemy. Watch your back." No name. But I didn't need one. It was him. Elijah urged me to go to the police, but I didn't. I wasn't scared. I was focused. They had taken my ideal once. They wouldn't take my peace too. Instead, I doubled down. I rebuilt the bridge from the ground up, stronger, faster, smarter. We introduced AI-assisted matching, real-time collaboration tools, and free mentorship programs. Within a month, we had 10,000 users. And when we finally relaunched publicly under the new name Bridge Forward, the world noticed. Articles called it the platform that wouldn't die. Investors reached out. Even celebrities endorsed it. For the first time, I felt like the world wasn't just watching. It was listening. Then came the twist I didn't see coming. One morning, I received an email from Hollingsworth and Company. Subject line, meeting request, collaboration proposal. I almost deleted it. But something, curiosity, maybe pride, made me open it. Inside was a short message. Mr. Carter, Hollingsworth and Company would like to discuss a potential partnership between Bridge Forward and our new media division. Meeting requested with CEO and leadership team. Executive office. I read it twice. A partnership with the same people who once laughed while I was humiliated. I showed it to Elijah. He stared at the screen, then laughed. Man, they're scared. They're trying to save face. Or maybe they're planning something worse, I said. He leaned closer. So what are you going to do? I looked out the window, the city lights reflecting in my eyes. I'm going to hear them out, I said slowly, because if they want a meeting, they're going to hear me this time. The next day, I walked back into the building I'd left months ago, the same halls that once felt like a prison. People looked up as I passed, whispering. Some smiled, some looked away. When I entered the boardroom, Ethan was already there, standing by the window, pretending not to care. The CEO sat at the head of the table. Mr. Carter, he said, forcing a polite smile. Thank you for coming. Ethan didn't look at me. The CEO continued. We like to explore a strategic partnership. Your platform is impressive, and we believe our resources could help it scale globally. I nodded slowly. And what would you want in return? He hesitated. Brand alignment, shared ownership, standard licensing. Nothing unusual. Ethan finally turned to me, smirking again. You always said you wanted a seat at the table. Well, here it is. I smiled faintly. Funny thing about tables, I said, once you learn to build your own, you stop begging for a seat. He blinked, but I wasn't done. I leaned forward. You want a partner? Then you credit every stolen idea. Publicly, you apologize to everyone. And Ethan, I looked him dead in the eye. He resigns. The CEO's smile faltered. Ethan's jaw clenched. The room fell silent. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the CEO said softly, That's quite a demand. I stood up. It's not a demand. It's my terms. And with that, I walked out. As I reached the elevator, Ethan followed me into the hallway. You think you've won, he spat. You'll always be what you started as. Nothing. Trash dressed up as triumph. I turned, stepped close enough that he had to look up at me. No, I said quietly. I'm the proof that even trash can become something beautiful when you stop throwing away. The elevator doors opened. I stepped in, and as they closed, I saw his reflection in the glass. Not angry, not smug, just defeated. That night, as I sat on my balcony, the city lights spread before me like stars. My phone buzzed, an unknown number again. This time, a single message. It's not over. You don't know what's coming. I stared at it for a long time. Then I smiled, because this time I wasn't afraid. The revenge. The text on my phone glowed like a warning. It's not over. You don't know what's coming. I stared at it for minutes. I wasn't scared. Not anymore. But I understood one thing. Power isn't just in creation. It's in how you defend what you've built. Ethan had underestimated me once. He wouldn't make that mistake again. The next morning, I arrived at the office. Not Hollingsworth, not Bridge Forward, but a neutral workspace I rented for strategy. Elijah was already there, eyes bleary from another sleepless night. They sent me something overnight, I said, sliding a thick envelope across the table. Elijah opened it. Inside were dozens of confidential contracts, internal memos, and even early prototypes of Bridge Forward, all taken from our server. They're coming for everything, Elijah said quietly, his usual humor gone. They want to bury us. I picked up a blueprint of our platform. Then we'll bury them first. We spent the next 72 hours in a war room-like frenzy. Every stolen document, every copy design, every fraudulent press release they created to undermine us. We cataloged it. I contacted legal teams, digital forensics experts, even private investigators. And quietly, meticulously, we built the trap. It wasn't just about exposing them. It was about turning the tables so thoroughly that they would regret ever calling me trash. Then came the first public move. I released a white paper, evidence-backed, data-heavy, showing how Hollingsworth and Company and Ethan Blake had plagiarized Bridge Forward's core concepts. We posted side-by-side screenshots, timeline analyses, and even client testimonies. The internet erupted. Articles were written. Influencers shared the story. Competitors whispered behind closed doors. And the hashtag trend was immediate. Hashtag credit the creator. Ethan's smug smile faltered on live TV interviews. The CEO tried to spin it, but the momentum had shifted. No one defended them. Not the press, not investors, not the creators who had joined Bridge Forward. Then came the second strike, legal action. Our team filed a lawsuit citing intellectual property theft, defamation, and breach of trust. Hollingsworth and Company tried to counter, but we had meticulous records, timestamps, and witness statements. The same executives who had once ignored me now realized they'd awakened a storm they couldn't control. Ethan sent a single email to my inbox. "You'll pay for this. Everything you've built will burn." I smiled. He didn't know yet. The storm was already in motion. The third move was psychological. I orchestrated a live online demonstration of Bridge Forward's capabilities, highlighting the original team members who had been pushed aside by Hollingsworth. Every story of struggle, resilience, and creativity was amplified. Viewers watched as we connected small business owners with creators in real time, the kind of innovation Hollingsworth had claimed they pioneered. By the end of the stream, donations poured in, sign-ups skyrocketed, and Ethan's new network crumbled under the weight of public scrutiny. But the real confrontation came in person. Ethan and the CEO requested a meeting at a neutral location, a high-rise overlooking the city. I agreed, walking in with Elijah by my side. Ethan greeted me with his usual arrogance. "You think you've won," he sneered. I let him finish. "Yes," I said softly, "because I built something real. You built a facade, and facades collapse." The CEO interjected. "We're willing to negotiate. Licensing, partnership, even roles within your network." I laughed. "You think I need you? I don't. You had your chance. You lost at the moment you called me trash." Ethan's face twisted, a mixture of anger and disbelief. "This isn't over, Malik. You think this is the end? You're nothing without Hollingsworth." I leaned closer. "You were wrong once. You were wrong twice. And every time you underestimate me, you prove my point." I turned and left. Elijah followed. Behind us, the boardroom buzzed with tension. But I didn't look back. The weeks that followed were surreal. Bridge Forward grew beyond anything I had imagined. We partner with organizations globally, helping marginalized creators find real opportunities. Our stories, our values, our platform, everything reflected a man who had once been humiliated in a conference room, called trash in front of the world. And Ethan? He faded into obscurity. Investors pulled funding. Clients dropped him. Every action he'd taken to destroy me only cemented my story. Every attempt to humiliate me again became another chapter in the narrative of my rise. But one evening, as I sat on my balcony overlooking the skyline, a message arrived. Unknown number. Simple text. Impressive, but you've only scratched the surface. There's more out there. Bigger challenges. Bigger stakes. Are you ready? I stared at it. Elijah nudged me. Another one? I smiled. A slow, confident smile. Yes, but this time, I paused, looking at the city lights like they were stars guiding me forward. This time, I'm ready. For the first time, I understood something profound. Success isn't the end. It isn't revenge. It's a test, a constant challenge that asks if you'll rise again, each time stronger than before. And deep down, I knew the journey wasn't over. Because when you've been called trash, the world is full of people eager to see you fail. And the only thing that matters is how you respond. I set my phone down, heart steady, mind sharp. The city stretched endlessly before me. And somewhere in the shadows, new challenges waited. I smiled, because this time I wouldn't just survive. I would thrive.